Hi there, beckyamio here, and as promised, I'm going to show you guys the bit that I start colts in. This is from Boz Saddlery. It's his snaffle, okay? It does in fact have a ported mouthpiece in it, but because my reins hook up to the corners of the mouth, it makes it a snaffle. There's no leverage here. I've been using this bit probably about 19 years now, 18, 19 years. It's what I learned how to ride in and how to start colts in when I rode with Boz back in my early 20s. And you know, the number one thing that I liked about it is that it always stayed in the horse's mouth the same way, okay? So it always stayed just like this. That's why he had these rings, he welded these rings in like this and welded these rings like this. And now these rings right here were to attach a drop noseband or like a flash cavesson that you see in the English riding world. So yeah, it stays in the mouth just like this, and I've always had a ton of success in it, and partially it's because I learned how to truly train in it. A lot of folks have always asked me over the years what I ride in, and these big rings on the cheek pieces, they're so you can't pull it through the horse's mouth. I don't know how many magazine covers I've seen of a barrel racer turning a barrel, and that bit is coming through that horse's mouth, and that's pretty frustrating because they're still getting it done despite their equipment. At any rate, this is what I'm using, and what I have found in the last 5 years or so is that when I start a little teeny tiny colt, because as I've gotten older, I'm starting to ride even smaller horses, younger horses. Gone are the days of me starting 5-year-old stud horses pulled right out of the pasture. That was just dumb. But anyway, on those little bitty guys, they tend to get intimidated by this bit, and I'm not sure if it's the diameter of the bit or maybe the length is too big or the port is too high for them, but those little guys really can't take it, and so I do have to start them in a traditional snaffle. And what I find with a bit like this, with this bit, is that horses transition so much better into other bits, whether it's some sort of miler, some sort of sherry serving mouthpiece, a hackamore, even any other sort of curb bit, jointed mouthpiece, whatever it may be. They transition really easy into this bit, from this bit into that bit. Now, if I get a horse that, say, has already had 30 days of riding on it and a client sends it to me to do another 30 days, I really struggle putting that horse in this bit. I generally have to go back to a traditional snaffle in them and train in a traditional snaffle. I can't explain why. However, this bit is fantastic for fixing problems, for fixing problem horses, so to speak. I really enjoy it for that use, although I don't do as many problem horses anymore as I used to. And then I don't use it as often with the drop noseband like I used to. It works really well with just a good old cavesson. And I don't ever really tighten it too tight on young stuff. And what I'll find is every once in a while, to go back to some of the horses that don't get along with it, they tend to get behind the bit, early in their training, and they're not using their hind end, they're just trying to get away from the bit pressure, so I do have to transition them to a snaffle. Now, what I go from this is the Foreman short shank Pelham bit. Now, this isn't the super short. The super short actually has the ring attached right up here. Now, with this bit, almost the exact same mouthpiece, and I think this is where Boz got his inspiration from when he created that bit. And you know, there's a lot of bits like these on the market. There aren't too many identical. Like, you would look at this and think, hey, that's just the bit that goes along with when you buy one of those cheap nylon bridles in the tack store. But it's not. The science behind this bit is that you have this ring on the side here, so you can hook your reins up to that, and you can still use this bit as a snaffle. And then you have this if you want to add leverage. Also, what's super important here is on the back side of this one, you have a place to connect your chin strap to. And on most curb bits on the market, you connect your chin strap up here, and that's going to pinch the horse's cheek. So I either ride in the Boz snaffle or I ride in the Foreman short shank Pelham bit, and sometimes I ride double reins. Sometimes I use bit connectors and then hook up one single rein to that. and I don't really ride too much of anything else. I make it real, like it's the KISS method. Keep it simple, stupid. I have learned to ride with my hands a certain way, and I've created habits, sometimes good, sometimes bad, don't get me wrong. But that's why these particular bits work for me, and I have not spent a whole lot of money on bits in my career. I used to, like in my late teens, early 20s, and then when I came across these two bits and I learned how to use them, I stopped buying bits and I started selling bits, actually. So, you know, and I didn't spend a whole lot of money on this. I want to say it was about $100. The Boz bit is a $200 investment, I believe. You can go to his website. But there are other companies that make these bits. I believe Rainsman makes something similar to this, or Weaver, and oh, you can look at Herm Springer bits. I think it's Core Steel. It's usually in the English bit section. Or Myler. Myler also makes a similar type bit. And, you know, to go back to my Boz bit, about, 4 years ago, I went and worked with another Monte Foreman instructor who taught me quite a bit more groundwork when I rode with her. And when I did actually ride that week that I spent with her, she explained to me why this bit works for me like it does. And here's the reason why. It's because there's no broken mouthpiece. There's not many moving parts to it. And if we look at the bits that are on the market today, there's tons of moving parts. So if your hands are not perfect, and I'm here to tell you my hands are not perfect all the time, they look pretty good, but if you saw the still pictures of my barrel racing pattern, they're kind of all over the place. They're not the best. And I'm here to tell you, we all have room for improvement. But with this bit, it's giving my horse the same direction every time. If I lift the rein like this, if I lift the rein like this, if I lift the rein like this, it's telling it the same thing. But when you get into those bits that have broken mouthpiece, jointed cheek piece that flips around, and you get into all that stuff, that's when you start telling your horses a lot of mixed signals every time you move your hands. And if your hands aren't good, boy, that's why we create the problems that we do in our horses. So I've never been one to change my bits mid-stride, change them mid-season, go, that's not, you know, rarely do I say, hey, that's not working. So I'm not one to change my bits a lot. What I did do when I first moved to South Dakota, because I wasn't widely accepted, I was that chick from California that came and broke colts, and they weren't expecting to see 5'3", 110 pounds to come start colts for them. And what I would do is I would start everything at home in this, and when we had to take horses to a horse sale, I would transition everybody over to a traditional snaffle and ride them in the sale ring, in the preview, in videos in a traditional snaffle, because it was more widely accepted. I had lots of people argue with me that this bit was a curb bit, and I had to explain to them there's no leverage here. There's absolutely no leverage. It stays in this position in the horse's mouth all the time. So I've had to argue that quite a bit. At this point now, I am pretty much an open book about the bits that I start in and what I do. I've been here for 7 years now. I've developed a reputation and a huge clientele base that are pretty happy to let me do and use whatever I want to on their horses and show their horses in whatever I want to. Although I don't believe this bit is AQHA legal, I am currently working on trying to find something that is AQHA legal. And if not, I'm just going to have to get better in a traditional snaffle and ride in a traditional snaffle. And that's what I've come to accept within myself. Although I don't like the nutcracker action on a traditional snaffle, maybe I'll go with some type of Myler comfort snaffle deal. You know, it just is what it is, and if your horse is trained, you ought to be able to go out there and ride anything. We've had some riders here at the AQHA World Show this year that have shown us that when their bridle broke, so it gives me chills just thinking about it. I mean, we all ought to have that good of a handle on our horse. So anyway, that's the tools that I've been using, and I've been wanting to make this video for a while because a lot of people ask me about this bit, and they're always fascinated by the big rings on the side of the horse's face, and I know it's not traditional. And you know, sometimes it is kind of ugly looking on the side of a really pretty 2-year-old stud's face, but it is what it is. Anyway, thanks for watching. I sure appreciate it. You know, give this video a thumbs up. Subscribe to my channel. I'm going to be uploading a lot of videos here, and you'll want to stay tuned because I am posting some videos here pretty soon that I have never posted before. I've never done this kind of stuff before. Going to be a wide open book and show you everything and let you in and see what my first rides look like. So hope you guys are having a good day. I'm going to put some gloves back on. It's awfully cold out here today. I think we got up to nearly 40 today, but the sun's starting to go down, so it's getting chilly again. Hope you guys are having a great weekend and happy Thanksgiving. Thanks.